Call this meeting to order at 7:36. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Melissa, you can call the roll.
Miss Egan?
Here.
Miss Fahey?
Here.
Miss Marcus?
Here.
Mr. Parati is absent. Miss Rubinich?
Here.
Miss Calderon?
Sorry, here.
Okay. Miss Skellin?
Here.
Mr. Sampone?
Here.
Miss Wojcicki?
Here. Okay, public notice of meeting. Notice of the June 14th, 2021 meeting of the Board of Education was emailed to the clerks of the boroughs of Essex Fells, North Caldwell, and Roseland, and to the Township of Fairfield and the editor of the Progress on January 7th, 2021, and the Star Ledger on the same day. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that this coming Saturday, June 19th, the board will hold our annual board retreat. It will be from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. The retreat will be in person. It'll be live streamed and it'll be open to the public. We'll be holding training on unconscious bias conducted by Mr. Vincent DeLuca, who is from the New Jersey School Boards Association. As we do every year, we will review our board self-evaluation, review our board goals, and something that we just adopted this past year, our board best practices. And we will be doing that review with Charlene Peterson, who's our field rep from New Jersey School Boards. I want to, on a side note, congratulate Deborah Sacco Calderon, our current VP, who just completed her individual certified board member certificate. And that's similar to our board certification. You must complete individual training. Some of the individual training to obtain this certificate is attending the annual New Jersey School Boards workshop, attending some professional development, county meetings, New Jersey Delegate Assembly, and some additional 20 credits. So I want to say congratulations, Deb, on your individual certification.
Thank you.
I also want to acknowledge two teachers who will be retiring this year. Mr. Neil Carosa, who will be retiring after 31 years in the district. He is an Italian teacher in the middle school. On a side note, all three of my children had him as an Italian teacher and they loved him. So he will be missed. And then Miss Teresa Carr, who is retiring after 15 years in the district. She is a learning disabilities teacher consultant. We want to wish them both many happy, healthy years in their retirement. And we want to thank them for their dedication to the students of West Essex. So thank you again for dedicating your years of service to the students, and we wish you a happy retirement. And that's all I have, Damien.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Wojcicki. Before I get to my report, I also want to wish our two retirees best of luck in their futures. Mr. Carosa, it's been a pleasure to work with you, and we will certainly miss you, and I wish you all the best in your next phase of your life. And I know Mrs. Carr is officially not leaving here until October, but I also want to wish her all the best. And it was a pleasure also working with you, Terry, over in the child study team. So good luck to both of you guys. But I still have time. I will see you next before the school year ends. Okay, Melissa, you can go on to the next slide. Okay, I have a couple slides tonight that I'm going to be presenting, and so I need you guys to just bear with me a little bit. We have a couple hyperlinks that we're going to pull up and do a little bit of screen sharing. But just on the COVID activity level report, it's very nice every week to send these out and just to see the continuous decline in the numbers. And the June 5th report, we are so close to our region getting into the low category. And week after week, the numbers continue to go down. That's great for our region. That's great for our state, great for the community. Things are opening up, restrictions are loosening up. So it's very exciting for us. And, we're starting to feel a little bit like normal again. But the last report, you can see we were in the yellow in 2 categories and in the green in the 1 category. And I put those green categories below the 1 or less, or the 1.68 or less, just to kind of show you how close we are to getting into the low rating. And we really only need one of those other categories to get into the green for our region to be overall on the low. So that's where we're at, and hopefully those numbers to continue to decline. Okay. On May 17th, Governor Murphy did announce that at the end of this school year, remote learning will be over. Okay. And next year, schools will be required to provide full day in-person instruction as they were prior to the COVID-19 public health emergency. Okay, so we do know for sure that we will be full day next year. There is a document that's out there that's called the Safe Return Plan document. It's due to the Department of Education by June 24th. Okay, and submission of this plan, really the submission of this document is a requirement so our district can receive federal funding through the American Rescue Plan Act and through the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Act. So in order for us to receive that funding, we need to submit a safe return plan. Okay, those funds are supplied to school districts to help safely reopen, sustain operations, and address COVID-19 issues. Okay, so we have to submit a safe return plan to the Department of Ed by June 24th. But really the driving force behind that is it's a requirement to get funding. Okay, I'm going to have Melissa go to the next slide, and I'm going to show you what this document looks like. Before I have Melissa, before you click on that safe return plan, this plan is broken down into 3 categories. Maintaining health and safety, ensuring the continuity of services, and then there is an option for public comments, and that's why we're doing this in public tonight. Okay, the first category is broken down into several subcategories, and you will see that when we get to the safe return plan. But I do want to say 2 things. Number 1 is this plan is basically the same plan that we used last year as a school district, minus a couple exceptions that I will highlight when we get in the plan. And that's simply because the Department of Education and the Department of Health has not distributed any information or any guidance to school districts for next school year. Okay, so this plan is really linked to everything that we were doing this year when you see it. And I will highlight a couple of the notable changes. Okay, so Melissa, you can click on the safe return plan. And if you can just blow that up a little bit and scroll down to the next page. Okay, so this is the template for safe return and in-person instruction for next year. And what I really want to emphasize is that for the 2021 school year, West Essex will provide full day in-person instruction as prior to the public health emergency. At this time, there will be no cohorts. There will be no remote learning. Everybody will be in our building 5 days a week, full days with daily lunch. There will be no remote learning option as per the governor. Okay, we will continue to follow the guidance from the Department of Health, the CDC, and the Department of Education. And as I mentioned, as soon as the DOE and the Department of Health has their information, they will put that out to school districts. At the moment, we have not received any guidance for health and safety protocols for next year. Our current plan, the West Essex Regional School District, has addressed all the components for safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services through our fall restart and recovery plan. So Melissa, if you can just click on that. And just for our board members, this plan is 80 pages long. It's posted on our website. It contains all of the components that this safe return plan requires. Okay, you can click out of that. But what we did do here is as we scroll through the document, you'll get to see the different categories in a very condensed version, but we did create a safe return reference document. If you want to take a look and see the full descriptions, you can click on the safe return reference document. And Melissa, if you can just do that for a moment. And this document, these are the categories. It goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And then there's a separate category for the continuity of learning. And you can see all of the references within our current plan that address those needs. Okay, so that document will be linked to this document. Okay, you can go back to the original document. Okay, so we'll kind of go through this quickly, but the first category was maintaining health and safety. And you can scroll down through here a little bit, Melissa. The masks, I know, is a very big topic right now. All I can tell you right now is we have not received guidance for masks for next year. Okay, what we are allowing right now is if you're outside, in cases of extreme heat, students and staff can remove their masks. Right now, while we're in the buildings, fortunately, our classrooms are air conditioned, so we're requiring the masks. And everything in here is kind of the same as last year. Again, as soon as we receive that guidance for masking for next year, we will certainly publish that. Okay, letter B here, this is one area that I will touch on. Again, for next year, there will be no cohorts. The plan includes 5 days of in-person learning, full days with daily lunch. As per the governor, remote learning will be rescinded. The one thing that we are in the process of doing right now is because our region is in the moderate level and hopefully in the green, low level soon, we are planning on 3 feet social distancing in classrooms. Okay, we do need to maintain 6 feet as of today in other areas such as eating and different activities with the band and physical education between teachers and the adults and in other common areas. Okay, so as of today, that's the guidance that we can go down to 3 feet, which that's what our plan is, and then 6 feet in certain situations. But again, that's today. This could change, but since the plan is due on June 24th, this is what we have to submit now. Okay, we're continuing with all of our hand washing procedures and promoting good hand hygiene. All of our cleaning protocols, letter D, they're all staying the same. As we've mentioned, we our ventilation systems have been upgraded. Continuing with all of our routine disinfecting schedules and all the PPE in all the classrooms. Letter E, contact tracing and isolation and quarantine. This is everything that we've done this year. And so far, we've not received any other guidance. So as of now, this is all what gets documented in the plan, that we will do our screening for symptoms. We have our protocols for symptomatic students and staff. And then we have our protocols for readmission to the buildings. And then our nurses, in conjunction with the health department, are in charge of contact tracing. Okay, if you go down the letters F, G, and H, you can see here that we do have our screening stations, we do have isolation rooms, and we are using Genesis for our health forms. The vaccination efforts, Essex County did a great job of promoting their vaccines, and they did a really nice job of holding clinics exclusively for teachers and Essex County educators. And that information was disseminated through our all of our staff members from the county through all of our employees. Okay, all the letter H, we're continuing with all the appropriate accommodations for children with disabilities. All of them are clearly listed there. Nothing has changed. All of our supports that we have in place for next year will remain intact. For social, academic, and behavioral supports, again, everything that we've used this year. And then if you scroll down to number 2, again, referencing last year's plan, continuity of learning under these conditions. We will continue with all of our services for special education and any students with disabilities. We've had our technology and connectivity initiatives with our Chromebooks and ensuring that families at home have internet access. All of our curriculum instruction and assessment procedures will continue, and any food services programs that we would need to run in the summer will run. Okay, again, all of this is pretty much identical to what we've done this year. The only differences in this plan were what I mentioned with the social distancing, the cohorts, and the fact that we are going from cohorts to a full day. Okay, we do have to give the public the ability to see this plan before we send it. Therefore, tonight's board meeting, this plan will be published on the main page of our website. And just for the board as a reminder and any members of the public, this plan was developed by a 65-member committee of community stakeholders. That committee was then divided into 5 subcommittees, and we met periodically throughout the year. We did multiple surveys throughout the year. We made adjustments, we made modifications. The plan was discussed at several meetings. Okay, with regard to this safe return plan, tomorrow on the website, there will be a Google form, and that form will be there if any members of the public want to a comment, as well as any of our employees. They can make comments. And this plan will also be posted on our website. And as per the document, our website does meet ADA requirements, and it can translate into different languages for anyone who may need that have a translation there. So, excuse me, that is the safe return plan. This will be posted on the website. And like I said, the Google form will be there if any of our employees or any members of the public have any comments about it. And Mary, that's all I have tonight.
Great. Thank you, Damien. Do we have principal reports? Okay, yes, we'll start with Dr. Dunleavy.
Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing? I hope well, okay. You know, it's pretty remarkable to think that this school year is ending on Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, the 22nd. It's, I don't know, I have a sense of accomplishment for our team at the middle school. You know, we just overcame such adversity, so I'm really proud of everyone, and it just feels really good that we got through a very difficult year. As we close out the year, please be reminded that the middle school is having a curbside Chromebook collection. So again, that will be curbside. You can just pull up quickly and, you know, drop your Chromebook off. That's going to happen on June 24th. So that's Thursday, the 24th. That's after the last day of school. That will accommodate, you know, both cohorts finishing out. Just want to remind everyone as well to get all your books and textbooks in. We were a little bit lenient last year, but, you know, we're getting back to normal now. So please get those in to avoid a hold on your Genesis account. We've sent out recently, we've honored our National Junior Honor Society inductees. We sent out a video to honor those students recently, and we're also in the process of finalizing videos for our honor roll and high honor roll recipients. Those presentations will be emailed as well sometime this week. We are very much looking forward to next year when we can again have these celebrations in person to recognize our students. But I did want to let all families know that we will be mailing certificates home this summer, so you can please expect those probably sometime in mid to late July. So again, we want to congratulate all of our students who are being recognized for these honors this year. And there's certainly no time to rest, because we, as Damien just talked about, we're already planning for next year, for the 2021-22 school year. We are eagerly planning. As many of you know, we are unable to have move-up day this year, but the middle school certainly remains committed to a smooth transition for all of our students. Our new Lead peer leadership program is getting off the ground. They just selected their mentors, so we're very excited about that. And they will lead a 7th grade orientation that is tentatively scheduled for August 30th and 31st. They'll do get to know you games, team building activities, a scavenger hunt, a building tour, Chromebook distribution, and a lot more lockers and a lot more. So we look forward to that. And we're also hoping to have some sort of 8th grade open house on or about those same dates. So we will keep everyone in the loop as that gets closer. People always ask about schedules, student schedules. And again, because as Damien mentioned, we have received little guidance from the state. So schedules will come out on or about August 1st. Just so that we can adjust as needed based on any guidance that may come out from the state. So we appreciate everyone's patience there. I also wanted to let the board know that Lisa Tamburi and I are working closely with Ryan Gupta to determine the best way to assess our students next year. It's always challenging being in the middle school and having our rising 7th graders, new students come in for 4 different, the 4 sending districts. And so next year in particular will be even more challenging, having come off of the pandemic. So we are working closely with Mr. Gupta to just, reassess our current practices. We will have the Start Strong assessment, which is basically the NJSLA model is being pushed to the fall. So we're hoping to have that in late fall and then implement some sort of growth assessment in early September. Traditionally, we've used the MAP assessment, but again, we're reassessing and just trying to make sure that we're considering a variety of options so that we can really get a sense of where the kids are at the beginning of the year and kind of monitor their progress as the year goes on. So I just want to reassure everyone that certainly at the middle school, we recognize that the data is critical in allowing us to target our instruction appropriately and monitor student growth throughout the year. So we, again, will keep you up to date on that process as well. And as it was mentioned, I just want to congratulate our retirees. We've mentioned, Mrs. Logan and Mrs. Graham and Mrs. McCarthy in previous meetings, but I also would like to recognize Mr. Neil Carrozza. As it was mentioned, he has 30 plus years in the district. He's probably one of the most gentle and kind souls in the building. And we're certainly going to miss him, and we thank him for his service to the middle school. So that's all I have, and I'll turn it over to Mr. DiLiberto.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Yeah, you know what? It's not on the slide, but since Dr. Dunleavy mentioned it, I feel a little inclined to mention it as well. And I know that Mr. Gupta also mentioned this at prior board meetings. But of course, at the high school, we are also concerned about any learning loss that may have occurred in the past year and a half. And we're also using different standardized assessments currently in math, English, and some of the sciences as well. Any assessment data that we're getting now will actually be given to those individual student teachers for next year. So their next year's teachers will get the data. And similar to the high school, we also plan on continuing those assessments early next year. So we do plan on getting data this year, getting it to the teachers, and continuing those assessments early next year, and using that data, of course, to inform instruction. So moving along, I think any of the public that's on here and the board knows that we've tried really hard to accommodate our students and especially our families all year, especially with athletics and letting parents and families come in to watch their kids play. A few weeks ago, we had our first student recognition ceremony, our NHS ceremony. And since then, we've had a few other induction ceremonies. We've had senior awards. We've had a band concert, orchestra concerts. So we've been trying to accommodate the public and the community as much as we can the whole year. And I'm really honored to announce at this point that for graduation, we do plan on executing our traditional West Essex commencement ceremony. And I've been to many other schools, and I can say with confidence that we really have one of the most beautiful graduation ceremonies around, and there will be no limit on guests or attendance. All are welcome to attend, and I'm really excited about that. I mean, we run a lot of great events over the course of any year, but graduation is really what we're all about, and it's the academic capstone to what everybody's done in the whole district, not just the high school, for the 6 years that they're here. So our West Essex graduation ceremony will be held on Tuesday, June 22nd at 6:00 p.m. No limits on guests or attendance. Now, there is a catch to this, and that's that our graduation ceremony must be outside. Our contingency plan in years past has always been at 6:00. If it's raining, we do it in the gymnasium, and we have people spectating in the while we simulcast in the auditorium. But that can't happen this year. There is no indoor option. So Tuesday, June 22nd is subject to a rain delay. It could potentially get pushed back up to 90 minutes even. And there could even be a rain date. So if it's just a rain out on Tuesday, Wednesday, June 23rd is the rain date. And we would need some flexible timing for that. Of course, we'd let people know as soon as we knew, but we would do it anywhere from the afternoon until, approximately the same time, 6:00 p.m. We'll have off-site parking just like usual, handicap parking just like usual. The commencement will be live streamed for friends and family that can't make it or unable to attend for any reason. We've been live streaming for the past probably 4 or 5 years. And please feel free to invite grandma and grandpa, because while the bleachers are still general admission, and I assume that they'll be pretty full, we will still provide socially distant seating for anyone that's more comfortable that way. Okay, so we'll have we're there to accommodate everybody. As usual, we'll also we have handicap parking, but we even have handicap transportation in the form of golf carts, transporting people from the parking lot up to the stadium. So that's it on graduation. I'm just really excited about it. Retirees. I know that over the course of the year, we have recognized them individually as the board approves their retirements. But I just kind of want to get them all in one spot on one slide here at the end of the year, because we have had a few more than in the standard year. And, I guess I'm turning into a little bit of a veteran at West Essex myself now, and I've been here for over 10 years. And I've worked with all these individuals in some capacity over the years, and they're all just fantastic. And of course, we wish them well in all their future endeavors. John Atora from the art department, Lauren Cherney from guidance, Denise DeMayo from science, Janice Emring, business, Kelly LaRicchia, administrative assistant from guidance, Lisa Rubel, special services, and even Mario Silva from our custodial staff. We wish them all well, and I'm certainly going to miss them. We've recently also had our senior awards. Thank you to all the organizations and families that donated. You do tremendous integrity to your respective philanthropic endeavors. And a total of $129,000 was awarded to students at the senior awards. Congratulations to all of them. Our 21-22 student schedules. Obviously, we don't have move-up day this year. We need a little bit more time for scheduling, but those schedules will go out in midsummer. But anyone that is familiar with the high school knows that your schedule, because of our scheduling prowess, but your schedule will look almost exactly like what you chose to be on your schedule for next year. We've got a few upcoming events. The National Art Honor Society induction is actually happening earlier this evening. National English Honor Society will be tomorrow. That's not the induction, that's the showcase, like their open mic, which is always real pleasant to see everyone's talents. Wednesday is a very busy day. We have the freshman field day. Our field days have been very successful. We've had a great turnout for every single one. We've lucked out with the weather. It looks like we're going to luck out with the weather again on Wednesday. And they've been excellent opportunities for the class to get together, outside friend groups, and for the whole class to get together and just have some good old fashioned field day fun. So that's early on Wednesday. Later on Wednesday, we have the junior prom at the Legacy Castle. Looking forward to that. And then, as I already mentioned, we have graduation on June 22nd. And Mr. Machochi, I'll tell you right now that I'll probably be putting in a vacation request for someday later that week, either the 23rd or the 24th. I hope that you accept it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Sorry, my mouse was stuck and I couldn't get the unmute off. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to move on to board comments on any of the reports so far. Does anyone have any comments? No? Okay. Before we move on to board committee reports, I just want to mention too that, so I know that I had sent an email out to the board and I mentioned it that we are having our retreat in person. Melissa did purchase some equipment. So the board, we need to decide and have a discussion. I know we have a policy meeting this week, but moving forward, when we want to move to in person, I know Melissa is still waiting for that equipment, but it should be in this week, right, Melissa?
So the camera equipment is in.
Okay.
The microphone equipment is not. We are still working on that part, but the camera is in.
Okay. So when we move to, and our retreat will be in the middle school cafeteria classroom that we usually hold our meetings in. So when we do go back to in-person, that is our final decision on where we will be with the meetings, moving into the future. So we'll have them back in our regular room. And moving forward, like I said, we'll have the cameras. We can decide as a board when we want to go back to in-person. I know some of the questions have been, we will be live streaming it. The equipment, we can't have public participation from the cameras. It's not Zoom. Zoom, you can log on, but you will be able to see it through the cameras. You can either come in person, or as I had stated before, you can either email myself or Damien. So I just wanted to put that out to the board that is how the camera equipment works. It's not Zoom. Okay, so if there's any, that's just a comment I wanted to make. So if there's any board committee reports or any comments from the board, just let me know.
Mary?
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, so in just to what you said, does that mean tomorrow's policy committee meeting is going to be considerate of the dates to make recommendations on that, or that's just awareness what you just provided us now?
So we have other policies to discuss, but in the policy committee, as far as the live streaming it and how it'll be recorded, can be discussed under that policy. What is it, 0168, our public participation policy? Okay. So that is something that can be discussed there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we were going to put that on the agenda just so it'll be up there.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And is the meeting Wednesday, not tomorrow?
It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, and it's going to be on Zoom for us.
Correct.
I'm sorry. Just because, some people couldn't make it, so we'll just, the policy committee will be on Zoom.
Correct. Okay, does anybody else have any board committee reports, or go ahead, Jill?
So a follow-up question. It sounds like, well, actually my first question is, I know I've seen some of the emails about the equipment, and can you just explain like the purchases that the district is looking to make for the camera and microphone, and why, I guess it's a part question, but I hear you saying that this equipment that we're investing in will not permit public participation. And I think before we make a purchase like that, I'd like to better understand what the limitation is, what we're, what we're spending the money on, and why or when or how we can discuss perhaps enabling public participation via live stream, because I do know that I've heard from a considerable number of our constituents that they're interested in continuing to attend virtually and call in with questions if they have them.
So they can, I had emailed the board, the camera equipment was, I think, $1,200 for the camera, the tripod, and the SD card. Is that correct, Melissa? I don't have my notes in front of me.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. The microphones we have not purchased yet because it's a difference of the wired microphones would be about $14,000. If we go with wireless, that we can take them different places, it would be $21,000, and that's for 16 microphones. As far as having an option for people to participate via live stream, I mean, unless we stay on Zoom, there is no camera that can live stream it and take questions at the same time. It's just a live feed. Zoom would be the only option, and we're not going to stay. That's not a long-term solution. So the camera is a live, it's a regular video camera that would be live streaming the meeting. And as I said, people can either come or they can email me with any questions, and I would certainly respond to them. Does that answer your questions, Joe? You're on mute. Joe, you're on mute.
Sorry, I saw there were some other hands up. Sorry about that.
No, I just want.
I did. You know what? I thank you for expanding on that a little bit. I did see those numbers in the emails, and I was shocked at the size of those numbers. And I guess I'm not a tech person, so forgive me. But Melissa, I see that you're kind of primed to respond, and I appreciate that. I guess I understand that we've had many conversations about that if we were to permit public virtual participation, a policy meeting would need to be, held to consider that. But in the meantime, I'm a little concerned about spending somewhere between 14 and 21,000 on microphones for meetings that the public cannot participate in. So the
public can participate in person, but they can't participate
right
from home.
Right. But that is the concern.
So the microphones have nothing to do. The microphones are for if we're sitting in a room and the camera is videotaping us. The camera across the room needs to be able to hear us, and that's what the microphones are for.
So just so you know,
I'll mute and let you respond and others ask.
Jan, before I go to your question, Melissa, did you have something to say about the microphones?
Sure. Just so you know, the microphones have been sort of a long-term idea because the board conference room originally had wired microphones, and then they stopped working. And then I don't know if I know that the members of the public have been to meetings before where we've been in there and they're like, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. We turn the blowers off. It gets very stagnant in that room. So the microphone system that we looked at allowed us the flexibility and portability to set it up in there where it would have a standing speaker with it, but then we could also travel with it and it would directly hook into the high school auditorium sound system so that if the high school had an event where they had, I know sometimes there's been for seniors, past graduates come in and college admissions, they're all microphones, like meeting style microphones that everybody would have a gooseneck that they could turn them on and off to speak. So it would work in different areas, which is why it costs a little bit more. It wasn't a system that would just stay in that room and live there. We were going to be able to use it for different events in the district as well.
Yeah, Jan, did you have a question?
I guess I'd just like to understand the process by which this decision was made. I know I weighed in and I am completely not in support of a cost of that magnitude that still does not allow open participation by the public, regardless of how we're trying to spin it. And let's also be clear, when the policy committee meets, we do not have policy now, and I think I want to make this very clear, that precludes this board from offering Zoom participation meetings to the public. So our policy does not preclude that. Currently. If we're going to adapt the policy in any way, I think it's really important that there are ways we could do this in a hybrid. And so if we want to record it and have a live stream, you could have one person on a Zoom, whether it's Melissa or someone else, that could field questions from our constituents and from parents who might have questions to raise. I just think in this new day and age, we cannot go back to do things the way we've always done them. I think it really puts a burden, particularly on parents who have children that they need to be watching and may have to get dinner. You're really making it very, very difficult for parents who want to be involved to be engaged. And I think it's really unfortunate. But I'd like to understand the process by which this decision to expend this money was made.
So before I go to Melissa on the money, we are not going back to our old ways, because if we were going back to the way we were pre-COVID, we would not be live streaming or even audio recording the meetings. Pre-COVID, the only way people could, participate in the meetings was for them to come in person. So by going to the cameras, at least they're being able to watch the meetings. They don't have to come to the meetings. And like I said, if they have something that they want to come to the meeting for, they can come in person. If not, there's a way for them to email me directly, and I can answer any questions or get Damien or someone else to answer the questions. The camera equipment, you're opposed to us spending that kind of money. To spend more money on some other kind of equipment would be even more expensive. I mean, a camera for $1,200 and a tripod and the SD card is not that expensive in my eyes. But, that could just be me. I mean, a camera does cost money. So if we're going to move forward with live streaming our meetings, we have to invest some money into that. Yeah.
That still doesn't answer the process question for me.
And the process question is, the board wants to move back into in-person meetings, and we're looking for a way to have the community be involved in our meetings. And Melissa looked into camera equipment, and she's been going back and forth with our tech people. She's contacted other boards of education to see what their processes are. She's spoken to Lisa Swinick, who is in our performing arts, and their department and their needs, and that's how the process came about.
I guess so. Who's authorized this expenditure of $21,000 for microphones?
First of all, we have not spent the money on the microphones as of yet.
That's what I'm asking.
And the cameras is under Melissa's jurisdiction.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? I mean, she's the one who purchased the cameras. I'm not trying to put it on you, Melissa, but her and I had the conversations of we're moving forward with live streaming our meetings, and this was the camera. Melissa, you've worked on this for weeks and weeks. I mean, it's not like this is just like, let's just pick a camera and move forward.
Right. So we've talked to other districts that have gone back to in-person to find out what's been working for them in terms of cameras and streaming. So that's how we got to the solution of this camera. We have not purchased microphones yet. So we have just purchased the camera at this point.
Right. Go ahead, Cindy.
I think the microphones are more of a replacement. I know when I first came on the board, we had microphones in the room. We each had an individual microphone to speak. So I think the microphones are more of a replacement for what broke than a new purchase. And I understand what you're saying, Jen, that we shouldn't buy something that's not needed, but I think they're needed no matter how we go back, because the public can't hear us no matter, just sitting in the room with no microphones. So I think that's a purchase that has to happen either way.
Does anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Jill.
Thank you. One follow-up. So just in terms of process, what would be the process for the policy committee to revisit an option to enable some sort of a Zoom type option for the community? And as well, I just want to, if I may, I'm sorry, let me just, for just one moment, as I'm looking at all of us here tonight, and I know that, there are times when some of us just won't be able to make it, and to have the option for the board, for board members, for administrators who cannot physically attend a board meeting, I think it would be an extremely worthwhile option to have people Zoom in, or whatever platform we want to use. But anyway, my question really was about the process for asking the policy committee to reconsider other options related to public participation remotely. Thank you.
And that is something else that can be discussed, here in this platform or in policy, that whether or not, like right now, I should say prior to COVID, if you were not available for a meeting, you just were absent. Moving forward, I'm not sure if that's going to be an option or not. That's something that we don't have currently in our policy. There is no phone option. We had an issue a couple of summers ago that we had to cancel a meeting because we had so many people out on vacation that, we didn't have, the policies so that they could, call in or whatever. So we had to reschedule the meeting. So that is not currently an option. It has only become an option because of COVID. I don't know if that is something moving forward. I think it's something that we can discuss, or it's something that we'll start with the policy committee, and then we can always bring it back to the board. Go ahead, Tony. Did you have a question?
if you're done yet, I wanted to say that for me, it seems like it's pretty well accepted now. Like we've gone through a year plus of virtual meetings and even in business. And they say the one thing that suffered is collaboration with the participants in the meeting, not in our case with the public. We're a little unique, but versus business. But if I think arguably we've missed that over the past year plus as a board, not being able to be together, working in a room. And if the options are to have a Zoom meeting while we're in the same room together, it just seems, to me, it seems silly. And the emphasis on public participation, the public still has the option to come. If not, they can still submit questions. And that's not different than what other districts are doing. And it seems like every time I hear it's the presentation, it's like we're looking to discourage public participation when I don't think that's the case. We're trying to make accommodations to accommodate that or to provide that as well. That's all.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, we're not looking to limit the public's participation. It's just that if they can either come or they can email. At this point, we're not going to have a Zoom option, moving forward. Go ahead, Tony.
And Madam President, the second thing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I forgot about it. I was almost like at a loss for words, which is rare for me. But the second thing was we were always, brought into the board business in that it's, we meet in public, but the board has to meet. And when you're not together in a room or together, that's where the collaboration part is so important. I think at times we've missed that over the past year and a half. We're trying to get back to that where you arguably can't tell body language and things when you're looking at each other on the screen. You see each other's faces and we have to work together. And I think some of our self-evaluation, it'll be interesting this week during the retreat to see some of the comments. I'm looking forward to the retreat to get the feedback from this past year. There may be some comments about this and there may be majority or minority opinion on what's worked and what hasn't worked. But I think that's another part of it is that aspect. That's all. Thank you.
Go ahead, Deb.
Melissa, one clarification. I think we're looking at prices with an extreme, escalation be due to COVID and that technology, the prices that you've been finding at going into this investigation have been overwhelmingly exorbitant compared to what we've looked at in the past, correct?
They have been, because we've been working with the company about other things, even
Right.
for the high school auditorium, and they've even made that clear.
Okay. And then just to piggyback off of Tony, I do agree that in-person collaboration is the most effective. We were voted in as board members. We have a due diligence. Yes, there are extraordinary circumstances where maybe a Zoom meeting that a board member does need to, to participate in that manner, but that's a policy decision. That's a policy recommendation that has to come to the board. And I think that board members need to remember that, we owe a commitment to the people who voted us in. We owe it to be there, to be live, to be an active participant in things that happen, not to be driving in a vehicle and just on a phone or whatever and calling into a meeting. I think we've all done our due diligence and commitment, and I would like to see that continue. There are times when I do think that if we do need for a Zoom, now we do have that option, but that's something that policy must look at in order to assess if it's something that would benefit this board. Specifically, if there's a family emergency and someone's called out of state, but you want to participate. If it's coming down to a vote and we can participate. But those are things that we have to look at and get approved by New Jersey school boards and our legal department to see if it's something that we can do.
I don't know that we're disagreeing at all on board members being in person, just to be clear. My argument is specifically for the public. I have no issue with our board convening in person.
Okay, and I wasn't saying it's specific to anything that you chose, Jan. I'm just making a blanket piggyback off of Tony, where I just want everybody to be there.
I know we have parameters which we can discuss in exec session, but to be live, it's the same thing for the students. To have a teacher in front of you and be live, you get more from that, and we get more from each other if we're there to agree or disagree. I feel that we just benefit from each other in an in-person situation.
And I just want to clarify something. I'll let you go in a second, Jill. Melissa, aside from being the business administrator, is our board secretary. So, we kind of, as a board, gave her the task of, we want to go back to in-person. We want to accommodate the public on being able to, have them, see our meetings, participate. So she did, take this task on and look into different types of ways to, accommodate, our desires. Granted, I know, a few board members want to have the public participation via Zoom. And we can vote on that. I have no issue if, the board wants to take a vote on that and see where everyone's at. I know that the camera does not have that, capability. So it would have to be a separate Zoom setup. But we can discuss that further. We can take a vote. I think we need a little more time, Melissa. I don't know if we want to wait till we get the cameras and see how at least the retreat goes, and then we can move forward from there. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it goes to the policy committee, and then we can have a discussion on all these topics. So I plan to start with this on Wednesday night. So the people in the policy committee can bring this up, and we can also, talk about the things that other board members have made clear that they're interested in, weigh the pros and cons, and bring our recommendation back to the board.
We could do that. And again, I think we need to first start with our board retreat on Saturday with the camera and stuff like that and see how that works. And then we can, that's why I didn't say like, let's start with our next meeting with being in person, behind the camera. We can, slowly ease into it once we see how that works out. Jill, you had a question or comment?
Part of it was addressed in the last few comments, but I guess I just wanted to also echo that I am in no way suggesting that we ought not to return to in-person meetings. My sentiments are simply that we have the ability with technology today to allow people who cannot attend in person to attend and participate. And I'm just that's really my only the only point I've tried to make. It's not about there's no judgment about whether or not we should or shouldn't have live meetings. It's simply about expanding the accessibility of the meetings going forward, following the patterns that we have set forth. So I just wanted to make that clear. And then the second thing, I'm still not sure I understand, but I did ask about the process for getting something into the policy committee for consideration. And I guess I'm still not entirely clear on what the process is when there's an issue, and be it this or something else. Maybe if you could, Mary, just explain that a little more clearly. So I hear Anne saying that she's got that at the top of her agenda.
So if you have something that you want to bring to policy, you could say it here. I'll take a note, and Anne can put it on the agenda for the policy committee.
So I think I did, but I didn't get the sense that it was heard and noted on the agenda for policy. So if it was and I missed that, then thank you. And if not, if you could just let me know if there's something I need to formally do. Does it need to be in writing or
no? You don't need to. You don't need to. You just bring it up right here that you want the policy committee to address, and you're talking about the possible Zoom. Is that what you're asking the policy?
Accessibility of meetings when they're, live in-person meetings, the consideration of, whether the public can participate. and how. And I guess the only thing is it sounds like, the microphones are the larger expenditure. And I didn't realize we previously had that technology. So, and I'm thrilled to hear that we're looking into it, because I do know that when we had in-person meetings, I could hardly hear people. So I do recognize that there's a need for that. It seemed to be commingled with the question of whether the public would be able to attend via Zoom. So I think there was a little confusion, at least on my end there. But yeah, so that's the question. And if Anne's got that on the agenda, or you have that, Mary, then that's
I have that written down, and you heard that. And then as far as the microphones, yes, we at our tables. I mean, I know you were only at a couple meetings before we went into COVID, and then we've been on Zoom. But
a whole year. I was there for a year, I think. Yeah.
What's that?
I think I was there for a year.
Oh no, we only had 2 board meetings, I think, before we went on to COVID in the conference room. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, couple meetings, whatever. So we did have microphones, but they were the last year they haven't been working, right, Melissa? Last year or so. Mm-hmm. So I mean, even if we were to go back to our pre-COVID days, those microphones no longer work, and we've had complaints over the years that people cannot hear us. We've had to, like Melissa said, turn the air conditioning off, stuff like that. So, I mean, they are a need, but she is still checking into the prices on which is the better way to go. And we can bring that back here again. So,
wait, Damien, can you find out? So Livingston did have public participation in their meetings from home, but then they stopped doing it. So I'm wondering if you can.
Questions, Anne.
What? No, I know, but originally I thought they were doing it like they can talk or whatever, but then they stopped that. And now they're doing the email way. So I'm just wondering, Damien, if you talk to the superintendent, if you can find out why they stopped taking questions like that. Because I think email is effective. I think it's fine. I'm fine with that. But if, if there's some reason that we can present to Jill to show why that didn't work for a school district, maybe that would be something, it's just more information. It's gathering more information.
And I can comment real quick on Livingston a little bit, because I have been in touch with them. So okay. I mean, and Damien, if you could reach out to them again, I mean, just to find out. So part of the reason is a lot of their questions were being, they were redundant. And even after a person asked a question, we've had that sometimes, whatever. So people kind of make the same comments. So what they do also is they only respond, they listen to all the questions. They only respond generally they don't individually, if somebody asks me a question, I try to individually respond to their question. So they do a general summarization of the questions being asked. So I know when I spoke to them like mid-COVID, I mean, again, this is months ago, they were saying it was getting very overwhelming, and it was hours that they were there with people, via Zoom asking questions. And that's why they went to email, so that they could then kind of say, okay, we have, this question from, 4 different parents, say the names, and then just ask the one question that related to the one topic. So that is from, what I was told months ago, why they went to the email, because it was getting overwhelming. And then, the repetitive questions that they just, could just address all at once. But that was months ago. Damien, if you could reach out to them, that'd be great. Maybe things have changed.
Yeah, and then we could talk about that on Wednesday. But that's good information to have. So thank you.
Go ahead, Tony.
Madam President, so number one, and it won't be a surprise, I remember the last live meeting we had was March 9th last year.
Okay.
Next meeting on March 23rd, Mr. Matrochi will confirm, was canceled. And then the April 6th meeting was the first remote. So we didn't have too many live meetings last year.
Correct.
And then I think we could certainly take actions at the policy committee meeting and reconvene if needed. You're not saying to make a fast decision necessarily. There's a policy meeting on Wednesday, and we may have actions out of that, and we'll have to reconvene at a later date. Hopefully not too soon, not too long in the future. But
right. Okay. Yeah, Jan.
I would just like the policy committee to consider the fact that, we really have very effectively implemented this process since the beginning of COVID with really no no lead time. We have dealt with lots and lots of comments in certain times. And to be honest, because the board has been so open and transparent about answering questions from the public, the last several meetings, there have been basically no questions because we've taken the opportunity to help people feel more comfortable about where the decision making is. And there's a lot more trust in the transparency. And I would just really encourage us not to turn that wheel back because we've already crossed the chasm of the hardest part. It's done. So we can stay here or we can go back down and have to come back up again sometime soon because we're going to get to come back up sometime soon. It's just a matter of when.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay. Do we have any board committee reports? I think I interrupted before anybody got to any committee reports. Are there any? No? Okay. And then no other comments? Okay. All right. Then at this time, we'll open up the floor for public comments. Okay. So we'll open up the floor for public comments on agenda items only. Please remember that agenda items are the items that we will be voting upon this evening. In accordance with bylaw 0167, a copy of which is available on the district's website, the board will now open the meeting for a period of public comments. Please remember to announce your name, place of residence, and group affiliation if appropriate. Your statements will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. The board will, of course, consider your comments as they relate to its obligations to effectively govern the West Essex School District. Any comments or questions regarding any of the presentations this evening should wait until the second public comment section. Again, this is just for comments on the agenda items. Any specific questions concerning your individual child should be directed to their teacher, supervisor, or building principal. And comments relating to or regarding students and or employees are discouraged and will not be responded to at this by this board. Are there any questions on agenda items?
None.
Melissa, I'm sorry, no? Okay.
Nope.
Okay, there being none, we will move on to our agenda items. Ray, do you want to take finance?
Sure. The following finance motions are made at the recommendation of the superintendent in schools. Anything placed on this agenda, items 1 through 17, will be voted upon in one motion, and I so move.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? Okay. Melissa, you can call the roll.
Miss Egan,
Yes.
Miss Fahey,
Yes to everything except I'll abstain to 4 and 5.
okay, Miss Marcus,
Yes, 1 through 3, abstain 4 and 5, yes, 6 through 16.
okay,
Oh, and through 17, Jill.
17? I only have 16 on mine, but okay.
One added.
Oh, one was added. I see. I was looking
Yes.
on my paper. Okay.
No problem. Just want to
Yep.
clarify. Yep, that's
Mr. Prati is absent, Mr. Rubinich,
Yes. All 17.
Miss Calderon,
Yes.
Miss Skelton,
Yes.
Mr. Sampone,
Yes.
Miss Wadowitz.
yes. Okay. Jill, do you want to take buildings and grounds?
Following building and grounds motions are made at the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Anything placed on this agenda, item 1, will be voted upon in one motion, and I so move.
Second.
Second. Are there any questions or comments? Melissa, you can call the roll.
Miss Egan,
Yes.
Miss Fahey,
Yes.
Miss Marcus,
Yes.
Mr. Prati is absent, Miss Rubinich,
Yes.
Miss Calderon,
Yes.
Miss Skelton,
Yes.
Mr. Stampone,
Yes.
Miss Wadowitz.
Yes. Okay. Anne, do you want to take personnel?
The following personnel motions are made at the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Anything placed on this agenda, items 1 through 18, will be voted upon in one motion, and I so move.
Second.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay. Melissa, you can call the roll.
Ms. Egan,
Yes.
Ms. Fahey,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus,
Yes.
Mr. Rubinich, Mr. Rubinich,
Yes.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Ms. Skelton,
Yes.
Mr. Stampone,
Yes.
Ms. Wojcicki.
Yes. Jan, do you want to take curriculum, please?
Sure. The following curriculum special education motions are made at the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Anything placed on this agenda, items 1 through 17, will be voted upon in one motion, and I so move.
Second.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, Melissa, you can call the roll.
Ms. Egan,
Yes.
Ms. Fahey,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus,
Yes.
Mr. Rubinich,
Yes.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Ms. Skelton,
Yes.
Mr. Stampone,
Yes.
Ms. Wojcicki.
Yes. Okay. Cindy, do you want to take miscellaneous?
The following miscellaneous motions are made at the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Anything placed on this agenda, items 1 through 5, will be voted upon in one motion, and I so move.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments?
I do have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Melissa, can you just give a quick refresh on the statement of assurances that we're approving? I didn't review them recently, and I just want to make sure, especially the high school voter registration law one.
So Mr. Machochi and I can
Yeah.
take, they're split between the two of us.
Okay.
Yeah, basically all of these assurances are, the district is attesting to following the procedures of the state. With regard to voting, with the voter registration, we have, we're affirming that we've complied with all the requirements of the voter registration law, where we have to distribute voter registration materials to our students, and a summary of the voter registration eligibility requirement, and the materials describing the role of a citizen. And we distribute those through our 11th grade social studies classes. The security drill, that's another, basically we're attesting that we followed all the Department of Education drilling requirements for the year. The comprehensive equity plan, we are signing off that we reviewed all of our policies and procedures with regard to equity and discrimination. That's a 3-year plan. And the lead testing is another submission where we're attesting to following the lead testing procedures for the district. And Melissa, if you want to just expand on that one a little bit.
Sure. So this is another non-testing year for us. Actually, we will be conducting lead testing this summer. Then lead testing moves to a 3-year rotation, but we're on the original 5-year. And now after this, it's an every 3-year process. So we're signing that this is not a testing year, and that this coming year we will be doing our lead testing.
Great. Thank you for the information. Appreciated.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Okay, Melissa, you can call the roll.
Ms. Egan,
Yes.
Ms. Fahey,
Yes, and thank you for the explanation.
you're welcome. Ms. Marcus,
Abstain from 1, yes, 2 through 5.
okay. Mr. Rubinich,
Yes.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Ms. Skelton,
No to 1, yes to 2 through 5.
Mr. Sampone,
Yes.
Ms. Wojcicki.
Yes. Okay, so at this time, I will open the floor again for public comments on non-agenda items. Please remember to state your name, your place of residence. Are there any questions, Melissa?
No, there are not.
No? Okay. Then I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, excellent. Deb, do you want to read us out?
Sure. There being no further business before this Board of Education, be it resolved that this public meeting be adjourned at 8:46.
Excellent. Excellent. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Ready?